And first of all, just again, thank you on behalf of all the chaplains for letting us be a part of what you do a couple times a month and let us be involved in the proceedings. So, Father, we love you. We thank you for the opportunity that we have to gather tonight as the citizens of Andover with our leaders, be able to share our thoughts and our heart. We ask for wisdom and discernment for those who are leaders and those who in our community and their thoughts. We pray that you would watch over us and bless us. We know that a week from now there'll be a national election, so we lift up all of our leaders, pray for all of those running for office, that first and foremost, just as our leaders do, pray to be a better community, to be a better place for our citizens, and we look forward to seeing how that all turns out. Again, bless our time together tonight. We ask for wisdom and discernment as we move forward. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. If you would stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This time I'll open the floor for public forum. If you had something you'd like to say, speak to the council, feel free to do so. State your name and address and keep it short, please.
Hello, my name is Greg Bailey. I live at 223 West 10th Street with my fiance, Joy Mead. We have 2 dogs, a 5-pound Pomeranian and a 60-pound Bulldog. We've had no problems in this neighborhood. 7 months ago, the neighbor across the street bought a pit bull. It was a full-grown pit bull already. I remember the night he bought it, I came outside to check the mail, and he introduced me to it, and it charged me. He assured me that he was going to take care of it. In the morning of May, I don't have the exact date, the kids were walking down to the bus stop. The dog was out charging the kids. The police were called. The officer did nothing. June 7th, the dog was out again, charging at our front door, charging the neighbor's fence, trying to get her dogs. Cops were called. Nothing happened. September 8th, I had my dogs out in our yard on leashes. The dog jumped the fence, came across the street, tried to attack my dogs and me. I got the dogs in the house. The same officer came out, showed him the video. He said, yeah, I've had problems with this dog. The dog has charged me before. Still, nothing happened. October 14th, I was in our front yard with our dogs. The neighbor across the street opened his door. The pit bull came out. Within 2 seconds, grabbed Daisy, our 5-pound Pomeranian, and crushed her to death. Within a minute, there was 3 cops there. I took Daisy to the vet where they pronounced her dead. I came back. The neighbor was sitting outside. I said, where's your dog at? And he said, we took it somewhere. I didn't believe him. I ended up calling Lieutenant Scheinert. He said they took the dog to the pound, but they lied to the pound. So they brought the dog back home. So 2 hours later, I seen the dog again. Finally, 2 officers showed up and removed the dog. I have tried in the last 2 weeks to get reports about what happened. For some reason, I can't get them. All the calls I've made, they see my call log, but there was no reports ever made. I don't know what can be done about this. I know it'd be hard to ban pit bulls or vicious dogs, but something needs to be done. I never got a follow-up from anybody, and there was a breakdown somewhere, and it's frustrating. That's basically all. And I have our neighbor here. She's had the same problem with the dog.
My name is Kristen Schmidberger. I live at 123 West 10th. After several months of constant worry for my children's and pet safety, and now with the neighbor's dead dog, and between myself and my neighbors, several attempts at getting help from the police, I wanted to join Greg at this meeting to bring your attention to a matter on 10th Street. On the afternoon of September 16th, as I was just about to leave for work, I heard loud sounds in my backyard that sounded like screaming. I ran outside to find a pit bull darting back and forth through my backyard, trying to catch our chickens in our mostly fenced-in backyard. This would be the second time I encountered this dog attacking my chickens in my own backyard. The previous time, August 10th, he was able to grab 3 chickens, ripping out all of their tailbone feathers, leaving multiple puncture wounds and terrifying them to the point they hid, unable to be found for hours. On the September 16th afternoon, after the second attack, but having seen the same dog loose on multiple occasions, I made a call to the non-emergency police department line. After explaining the dog and the owner involved, who lives several houses west of ours, the officer taking my call immediately knew who I was referring to. He explained he'd send an officer over and asked if I'd like the officers to reach out to me. I said yes, but after witnessing the officers speak to the dog owner at fault, they left without a word. Since then, I have seen the same dog loose several more times. I have children, 7 to be exact, who all ride the bus to and from school. Several other kiddos catch the bus on our street as well. Most days I am working and unable to meet them at the bus stop. I'm constantly fearful this obviously aggressive dog will one day go after one of my children. My elementary age children, kindergarten, 2nd, and 4th graders wouldn't stand a chance against it. The dog attacked just a few weeks ago, killing a Pomeranian who was in its own yard. After multiple reports from several residents, a dead dog, and an owner who continues to carelessly allow his dog to run wild through the neighborhood, my question is, what will it take to resolve this? We are waiting for this dog to attack, injure, are we waiting for this dog to attack, injure, or even worse, kill a child before something is done? This has been a reoccurring issue for months, but even after a small dog was crushed by its jaws, I'm told the owner might still be able to keep his dog. I refuse to sit back and wait until it attacks yet again. There are many small children living on our street, and without any consequences, it's inevitable this dog will strike again if allowed to remain in its home. I'm upset at this whole situation was entirely preventable had our calls been taken seriously. It is the responsibility of the dog owner to ensure his dog stays on its own property, but when that doesn't happen and lives are at risk, who are we supposed to contact to help? I'm not sure what the policy is on this, but maybe it wouldn't hurt to review to ensure we're doing our best to keep our neighbors safe.
Hi, I'm Joy Mead. I'm not a public speaker. You're about to find that out. Super nervous. Daisy is my dog that passed away. And for a lot of you, I'm sure your dogs are like your family members and not just a pet. I don't know if you guys can see her. This is her, all 5 pounds of her. She meant a whole lot to our family. I'm all about solutions, and I wish there was some type of breed specific legislation that can happen to make sure that these dogs that are vicious, they have some type of restriction here in Andover to keep Andover safe, like microchipping, spay and neuter them have a muzzle when they're off of their property, secure containments, warning signs posted, liability insurance. And I'm wondering how many pit bull occurrences that the city of Andover has had since the lift of the ban. Because I know we had a ban a while back, and honestly, I kind of just sat back and thought, oh, I don't need to be a part of that, or that will never happen to me, until it did. And I wish I would have spoke out sooner and been here sooner. I feel that Andover needs animal control here. If the officers don't really have time to handle these situations, I wish we had a specific department that could handle these situations and know what to do. Because I feel like, unfortunately, maybe the police didn't know exactly what to do after Daisy's passing. They let our neighbor take his dog back after he brutally slaughtered my baby. That was so disheartening to me, because I believe that the police is there to protect us and to make sure that laws are reinforced. I couldn't imagine how he could continue to have his dog and mine is gone in my backyard buried. It was really heartbreaking for me. So I'm sorry, I hate to try to cry in front of people, but I really want a solution to this that will benefit the community. And I feel like animal control is a good start. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Mayor? I would just like to thank you guys for coming and standing in front of us tonight. I know that's really difficult to do, and I'm very, very sorry for the loss of your dog and that you guys are going through that. And I know that we will follow up with conversations and follow up with you guys one way or another. You guys can feel free to reach out to myself through email or phone. So thank you for coming.
I also wanted to say sorry. We've gone through a lot with changing that ban several years ago, and it was very disheartening to me as well. And because that happened to our family as well. Our dog didn't die, but had major lacerations on his neck, and he was a 160-pound lab. So the owner did the right thing and, put the dog down. But
And that's what we like to believe as responsible people. I mean, I know how hard it is with my dog being gone. And I do understand that it would be difficult for my neighbor as well to take his dog. But when you know that your dog just killed another dog and it's been loose and killing other animals in our neighborhood, do the right thing. Be responsible,
I agree with you, and I think we need to rediscuss this soon. Maybe a workshop coming up and kind of go over. This is the second attack that's happened in 3 weeks. I don't know if y'all know that. Another neighborhood has happened to as well. So we need to, think about what we're bringing into the city. Gosh, I mean, we're going through things that, marketing for the city of how great Andover is. And this is something we need to rethink. So I appreciate y'all coming and talking about it and putting it back on the table for us to discuss. So I'm sorry.
I'd like to personally apologize in many different ways. I've got a young pup, just as small. Couldn't imagine. I would like to sit down and meet with you anytime your schedule. I'll make it happen. That at least go over processes and changes and anything that I can take from you and vice versa. I think if you'd allow me to do that.
Anytime. And I told the police when they came out, anytime you want to come over, you're more than welcome. You can have lunch on my front porch. Glad to have you. And I mean that.
I'll schedule something the next couple of days if it's okay with you guys.
I'm sorry, can you go to the mic and give me your address again,
Oh, yes.
please?
It's 223 West 10th Street in Andover.
Okay.
And can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I never in a million years thought I would be up here. I've never done this before in my life. But I feel like Daisy had to lose her life in order for changes to happen. And that may sound dramatic, but I'm glad it was her instead of a little kid, because I've personally witnessed with my own eyes that dog charge at little kids on their tricycles. It's terrifying. I just don't want a child to die. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Mr. Bailey. He actually brought this to my attention a couple weeks ago. So I kind of started to get the ball rolling, because one of my primary responsibilities is make sure we we protect the public up here. Public safety is one of our number one priorities. So he kind of got the ball rolling for that. And I've been communicating back and forth with him, and I'm grateful he brought that to my attention so that we could kind of get the ball rolling on that.
I really appreciate all your help.
All right. Anyone else? All right. I too am sorry for your loss. I've got a little dog myself, and he's the meanest little thing on the planet, and he thinks he's a big dog, so. All right. Public forum is now closed. Acceptance of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Presentation 7-1 Family Life Center Safe House presentation, and Darla Carter, Family Life Center Executive Director.
Good evening. I'm Darla Carter, and I have been the executive director of the Family Life Center for 18 years. We have been fortunate to receive money from the city of Andover for probably about 6 to 8 years now, and we very, very much appreciate your support that you have given us. I just want to give a small presentation on what the Family Life Center does. And then if you have any questions, then you can ask me. Our service area is Butler, Greenwood, Elk, and Chautauqua counties. The shelter can hold 12 to 15 victims and their children, and it just depends on the dynamics of the family. The shelter is totally free. They can come in with nothing but just the clothes they have on their back, and we can provide them with anything that they would need. The clothes, we have a clothes closet, we have food, personal hygiene items, diapers, baby formula, anything that they would possibly need. And it's free and confidential. This past year, we have sheltered 30 women and 31 children. We've had 48 families that have moved to a different living situation, and they have not gone back to their previous abusive situation. In May of 2023, New Manna, which is a organization in El Dorado that feeds the hungry, had a house it was an apartment building. It was a house, and they made it into 2 apartments. Upstairs was a 2-bedroom apartment, and downstairs is a 1-bedroom apartment. They merged with a company called Outreach, and this house did not fit in their mission, so they donated Ritchie House to us. So with these apartments, they are completely furnished. And so with these apartments, we have been able to use them as transitional housing. And what this is the rent is $300, and the deposit is $300, and the rent is $650. And it's a 6 months lease. All utilities are paid. $100 of the rent goes into a savings account. And what this is at the end of the 6 months, if the tenant leaves in good standing, then they get the $300 of the deposit back plus the $600, and they can leave with $900 to go and move into a house or whatever, and have $900 to put towards rent or deposit or anything that they may need. To move into Ritchie House, they are usually in the safe house first, and they have worked through our program. They have a job. They have worked through the program where they're stable, and they can come. And then after this 6 months of being in Ritchie House, they can go ahead and sustain themselves. Through this 6 months, they go through case management and go through budgeting and meet with their goals. So this is all a program, and everybody all of our clients that are in the Safe House go through this case management. Our court advocate has assisted 183 victims with protection orders. We have a domestic violence and a sexual assault support group. We receive grants from the Attorney General's Office, the Governor's Grants Program, the Kansas Housing Corporation, the United Way of El Dorado, the El Dorado Liquor Tax Money, Augusta Special Alcohol Funds, City of Andover, and Greenwood County funds. We also receive funds from the District Court for Domestic Violence Restitution Funds. We've just recently got a grant from the Kansas Housing Corporation. It is the Home ARP, which ARP stands for American Rescue Plan, and this is a 5-year grant. With this grant, it's going to allow us to assist victims of abuse to obtain permanent housing, and we can help pay with security deposits and utilities for up to 3 months to get them on their feet. They must meet the domestic violence or sexual assault qualifications, and they will be employed and go through the case management through this. We will accept referrals and everything with this grant. So we have really moved up a lot of our steps and everything and helping these victims with getting back on their feet. So the funds that we get from the City of Andover helps pay for our crisis hotline. So do you have any questions for me?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Darla, thank you for coming back every year and giving everybody a recap of what's going on and what you guys are doing to make things better. I did notice that the 24 stats I'm sure they're not complete yet. You have a couple more months. You probably don't have October, the last quarter probably in it.
Yes.
But it is nice to see that it has gone down some.
Yes.
So I know 22 and 23 were kind of tough years. You mentioned that in the past, and so I'm glad that things are a little better, and I'm just glad that you're there to help these people. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I do. I have one question. Does
Okay.
Butler County give you any funds? Like Butler County themselves?
No, they do not.
They do not. Have you asked before or
Yes, I have.
have? And
Mhm.
they keep telling you no?
Yes.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
For what you do. 8-1, wastewater collection systems award, and Rick Landers is gonna talk with us about this.
There's on your screen, on the screens up here, and I'm not going to read that to you verbatim, is the notification. It's in a quarterly newsletter that goes out through the Kansas Water Environmental Association, KWEA. That's who is provided the award that we're going to be presenting tonight. It's a group that's made up of peers in the industry. So I think that also says a lot about this award. I cannot stress enough how fortunate both I and the residents of Andover are to have the dedicated and skilled employees in our public works and utilities departments. Brian Walls, your wastewater manager, is a highly skilled leader whose commitment to provide his staff with the resources and skilled leader resources and support they need has led to outstanding results. His efforts have driven his team to excel in maintaining the city's wastewater treatment and collection system, valued at over $100 million, to an exceptionally high standard. Brian would be first to tell you that much of this success is due to Sean Spear, who deserves enormous credit for his role in advancing our collection system's preventive maintenance. Since Sean's promotion to assistant manager, the rate of preventive maintenance cleaning doubled in the first year alone. Under his leadership, this maintenance program has reached the level that he and Brian envisioned, with the goal of significantly reducing, if not nearly eliminating, sewer backlogs and packages and backups. This year, we have had only approximately 11 callouts for sewer backups, with issues just 4 actually being in a sewer main. For reference, a lot of times we get called out and they're actually in a lateral line. It's in the private line. That's out of 110 miles of sewer lines. This is a remarkably low number, directly attributed to Sean and his team's proactive approach to preventive maintenance. Additionally, years of preemptive repairs and upkeep across the system, including manholes, have resulted in a network so well maintained that a 2020 sewer system study identified no urgent corrective needs. I would like to comment about that. Just a little sidebar on that is I've worked in several cities. None of the other cities I worked in would even come close to having a report like that. There's always sewer lines that need to be replaced in every jurisdiction, it seems like. I guess like I said, having worked in 3 cities over my 38 career, I can confidently say that this level of excellence is exceptional. It is my honor to announce that the city of Omaha has received the 2024 Wastewater Collection Systems Award for Category 2, 50 to 500 miles of collection system. Only one utility per category receives this recognition, and while I'm not surprised by this achievement, it is my privilege to present this award to Brian and Sean. Their dedication and leadership make Andover a model for excellence in wastewater management. Brian and Sean, would you come up here? Either of you want to say anything?
I'll say something.
Go ahead.
We wouldn't be able to do this without you, because you provide us with the tools and the equipment to do it. Because if we didn't have that, we couldn't do it. That's all I got to say.
But you, Brian, you got anything you'd like to say?
Oh. No, we just appreciate y'all backing us up on what we able to buy the proper equipment to make sure we get the job done. Because if you've ever experienced a backup, it is not a fun time. So we're the ones you don't want to see at night. So
And it always happens at night.
yeah,
On Christmas.
on Christmas, holidays. So just want to thank you all for supporting us for what we do, and we try to provide the best service out there. So thanks.
Thank
you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Excuse me. Consent agenda 9-1 through 9-3.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.3 as presented.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Property annexation, 10-1, and David will speak to us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Subject property here is an approximately 8-acre parcel of land within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction. It's actually just north of City Hall here. It's currently zoned Ag 40. The applicant was the one that submitted the annexation petition to be a part of the city of Andover. Property will be zoned and platted after the applicant sells to a residential developer. Existing public streets connect the property to our infrastructure. The property currently does use a septic sewage system, but they being the applicant, has applied for a hardship exception to retain that system until it's developed at a later time. We'll get into it a little bit later, but Evergy is the current electrical utilities provider for this property. And this tract falls under the traditional neighborhood place type within our comprehensive plan.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So David, will this be rezoned at a later time then?
Yes, it'd be rezoned and platted after it's sold.
And then who's in charge of granting the exception for the septic system? Is that the city or is that county?
Yeah, the city, yeah.
And so then when will that application or exception, will we handle that as city council or will you handle that as staff?
That's an exception that can be granted by the governing body. And you can do that in your motion tonight if you choose.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Currently, this is and will be A1 until it is replatted, correct?
It'd retain the current existing zoning.
And they'll be applying in the later date for a single family what zoning?
Is it going to be a PUD, Les, or have we gotten that
It's
information?
likely to be a planned unit development.
Okay.
The transaction between the current owner and the developer is supposed to close in about 10 days. So then that developer will begin the planning process.
What will the underlining zoning be? SF2, SF1?
Likely to be SF2.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. So then the Ag 40 that's Butler County, then like Mike said, will be when we adopt it or annex it in, it'll be Ag or A1? Yes.
So just to be sure we're all on the same page, when we bring in land from from the county, it comes in as A1 agriculture. At some point, which you are not deciding zoning, but at some point we anticipate they will bring you a zoning change and you will make a decision at that point. But tonight we're just talking about bringing the land into the community. I think it's relevant. I'm not sure if this is the point we're trying to make, but the land will come in as A1, which was a topic of discussion last night. All land coming into the city through annexations come in as A1. I think that's a real important point to think about.
So we can have sheep on it right now, so.
No, you can't. 6.
It's 80
All
acres.
right.
Have-
And Tim, I have had that conversation with the owner. She's very cognizant of our ordinance on horses.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve an ordinance authorizing the city of Andover, Kansas to annex the Pratt property as legally described in such ordinance.
Second.
So just to Jenny's point, so anytime everything in the county is A1 for the most part. So when we annex in, it's already A1 zoned, right?
Except
most
for
part.
platted
Right.
lots smaller than
Right.
20,000 square feet.
And their designation is similar, but it's just an Ag 40 or.
Yeah.
Les, do we need to call out in this motion the exception to allow them to continue to have the septic system as well?
Yes, you do.
Modify your,
I modified the motion to accept the septic system.
I re-second my second.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Resolution of notification land annexation to electricity service provider for the Pratt property. And David again will talk to us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So yes, the next step after annexing a property into the city is to provide notification to the existing electrical service provider. The intent to make a determination who will be the provider going forward after it's annexed. This action tonight would set that date for December 10th at the city council meeting.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution providing notice to Evergy Incorporated and setting the date of the consideration and selection of an electrical supplier for the property annexed and generally located at 1616 East Central Avenue on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 at 7 PM.
Second.
I'm sorry, was that Paul? It's Paul.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions or discussion?
I have one question, Mr. Mayor, Les or Matt. When do we decide what water service they're going to use? Is that at a later date? I'm assuming?
The potential developer and Rural Water 5
Okay.
are now negotiating a similar agreement that would allow Andover Wichita Water to serve the
Okay,
property.
perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 11, ordinance authorizing the issuance of IRB Series 2024 average, and this is 11-1. And Jenny will speak to us on the matter.
Mr. Mayor and Council, in June of 2023, you all approved a resolution of intent to issue taxable industrial revenue bonds to Everridge for an expansion project for their plant on 13th Street. And I'm happy to tell you that that project has been complete. So we are now at the point in the transaction where we have to actually close the project out and issue those bonds. Tony Fleming, General Manager of Everridge here locally in Andover, is present tonight if you have any questions about the project itself. But your bond counsel has provided the ordinance before you tonight, and they do anticipate closing on the bonds by the end of year, which will allow that tax abatement to begin for them in the next tax year.
All right. Any questions? Would you like to talk to us about it?
I am Tony Fleming with Everridge and proud to be a part of Andover in the greater area. I want to say a huge thank you to Mayor Ronnie and staff, those that have assisted us in moving through this. I do believe this will not be the last time that I stand here and talk to you all. Very preliminary talks about more expansion. So business is strong. As the economy was down a little bit, we dealt with the same thing, but we've come through very strong. And just in the last 6 weeks, we've hired 5 people. We're setting up in the add-on, we're setting up another line, another product that is built on both coasts and up north. Nothing like that is built right here. We'll be able to service, especially south towards Texas and east and west. And so we're in a really good spot to expand our business here, adding 1 to 2 more products in the plant. And so really excited about what's going on, and thank you all for working with us. And I anticipate there's a high likelihood that we'll be able to do more potentially. So if you have any other questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Tony, refresh my memory. You do the door components there, and is there other components that you do outside of the doors?
Yeah, great question. So we actually build the complete walk-in cooler. Stop by Wendy's on your way out. We built that cooler that's on the back side of it. Just about every fast food or restaurants you can think of, schools, all kinds of stuff. We deliver a product that when it gets there, it's already refrigerated. If they have electricity, it's operational within 2 hours.
Wow.
But we also, what the product that we're adding now is, if you walk into a Costco or Sam's, the large walk-in coolers, those products can't really go through a door and get there. And so they go in as panels and cam lock together. We're adding that product here. And that's the biggest piece of our business. So we do build replacement doors as well, though. That's the only moving part that wears out on them.
Anyone else? Right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to adopt an ordinance issuing $874,661.02 in City of Andover industrial revenue bonds for the purposes of purchasing, acquiring, constructing, furnishing, and equipping in addition to an existing manufacturing facility and paying certain costs of issuance of said industrial revenue bonds.
Second, Barry.
Any further questions or discussion?
I just want to say thank you guys for being here in Andover.
Thanks for choosing Andover.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So.
Glad to be here.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you. 12.1 Employee Handbook Update, Section 6.1 Holidays. Chastity is going to talk to us tonight.
Good evening, Chastity Page, Director of Human Resources. Currently, the City of Andover employees have 3 separate holiday policies, and as I'm sure you can imagine, it can be a bear to try to administer all of those policies at the same time. With police and fire, with non-police and fire employees, as well as fire and police administrative personnel, we observe the 11 holidays defined by the holiday policy. That means we get paid the 8 hours. We're not expected to work. On the off chance that, say, there's an emergency and Public Works has to come in and clear the streets for snow, we do offer paid overtime for up to 8 hours of that. For firefighters, they get paid 12 hours of straight time on the holiday, whether they work it or not. They also obviously get paid for their regular hours that they work. Police and communication officers have 11 floating holidays available to them, and they take those throughout the year. They are also paid time and a half if they are working on the city-observed holiday. Of the 3 of those policies, the police is probably the one that's most challenging to administer. Some of the challenges that we run into, tracking of the floating holidays. They are technically allowed 32 hours of floating holidays that they can use between January and June. And then they have 56 hours that they can use between July and December. The other part that makes it challenging with the police department, as you guys know, staffing can be challenging, and we've had difficulties with allowing employees to take holidays when they would like to. We obviously try to accommodate whenever possible, but sometimes they do have to be deferred until staffing can accommodate that. And then there's also more chance for human error. And by that, I mean that we're required to double check everything when it goes through payroll. Our staff accountant who processes the payroll has to double check things. And then Jenny, who reviews payroll as well, makes sure that those people who worked the actual holiday receive the overtime hours that they're qualified for. So with that, we would like to recommend that we move the police and communications officers over to the same policy that we have the firefighters on, given that they are both public safety. It's kind of the one that's most similar to them, and both of those departments are required to work on holidays. So that's another one of the reasons that we've decided to try to move forward with that. Your city administrator, Jenny, and myself met with the police sergeants, lieutenants, and the rest of the command staff to discuss this potential change to get their feedback. I would say that the majority of those in the meeting felt that this was a good change and that they would be in favor of that change. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone?
So Chastity, have we checked what other cities do? I mean, lots of other cities have police and fire. So is this following other cities, or is this just?
I think with other cities, they kind of vary. There are some other cities that do continue to offer the floating holidays. There are cities that do something very similar to this as well. So it's not out of the norm.
Okay. So what does Wichita do? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what they do.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So Chastity, is this takes the 3 policies down to 1 policy?
2 policies.
2 policies now, okay.
And I would just point out too, police and fire are both separate in your FLSA, your Fair Labor Standards Act, which is federal law when it comes to overtime pay. So they are always going to be different because their hours in which we must compensate prior to going to an overtime threshold is different for a 40-hour employee. So it is a very unique part of HR law that is only seen with public entities that have police and fire.
But this will make it more equitable for the first responders then that work the shifts that have to be required to work holidays? Is the intention, I guess?
Yes, the intention is to make it more equitable for the police and the communications officers. So that way they are more in line with the fire department.
At the risk of getting like way too in the weeds, because I can tell you this, it is literally like an eye crossing experience every time we have holidays and we do the payroll. And what makes it difficult is the software cannot take these rules because there is, it's too much of an exception for the software to figure out on its own. We cannot find a way to do it based on the way the policy is written. The policy does just fine with the firefighters policy. It can do that. It can have no problem to give you 12 hours straight time on a holiday. You define what the holiday is and it can give you 12 straight hours, no problem. It cannot, there's not a way to write the software so that we can get the police and the 911 rule put into there. And within that, those are 2 different FLSA categories. 911 is a 40-hour week. I'm telling you, it's complicated and I don't think you want to go there, but I have a payroll to finish after this meeting. So if anyone would like to go upstairs and do that with me, I'd be happy to walk you through. The downside of the way the policy is today, and we heard this through exit interviews, this is really where this started getting on our attention, was there is literally not an incentive for a dispatcher to work on a holiday if they work overtime in that week currently. If they work 8 or more hours of overtime, then it defeats the entire purpose of them working at all on the holiday because they will not get additional overtime for that, the way that it's written today. So we're trying to just say, let's make it more equivalent to what we're doing at the fire department. So we're treating them equally. We have no complaints to date from firefighters regarding how we're paying holiday pay. And this seemed like a repeated and legitimate complaint from some of your 911 dispatchers.
I guess my question is though, firefighters work, 24-hour shifts, I believe, correct, or 48-hour shifts. Police officers normally work, 8? They work, or 12,
12.
6 to 6. Okay. So what's communication? Are they the same?
So to stay in the weeds, your firefighters get overtime after 85 hours worked. Your 911 operators get it after 40 worked. So they typically have a week of overtime and a week of undertime in every single 80-hour pay period. And your firefighters get overtime at 106 hours.
Matt, you have anything you'd like to add?
And I think that's why I asked what other cities do, because I mean, if it's complicated for us, I'm sure other cities have
Well,
the same issues.
it gets
so-
a lot more complicated because they don't all do 12, not all police do 12-hour shifts. Matter of fact, I know Park City, that was one of their selling points when they do recruitment was last we knew they were on an 8-hour shift, but we heard they were switching. So I don't know if that's official. Not all fire stations work 24 hours. So it's a very difficult thing to compare apples to apples or oranges to oranges. They all handle it differently.
I mean, we just asked for, comparable,
You have
go
something?
ahead, Buck. Sorry.
Yeah, during our discussions with every single employee, I didn't hear any negative whatsoever. It was the most difficult part. Actually, the lieutenants were thrilled because now I've got to try to get someone off work, and that's very difficult. And you're already over on your holiday time or vacation times, and it's been a struggle to try to get these folks off. And not a single person was negative about it. Most were like, okay, good.
Yeah, because it sounds like they're getting paid a little bit more too.
You had to talk to more in depth that we're in line with the fire department. So it wasn't necessarily at the time, it wasn't necessarily about the pay as much as, okay, now I don't have to worry about, same thing as if they take some sick time during that, and just, it was real weird. is how it works out.
So my understanding is it'd be easier, possibly easier to staff 911 when they get.
Much easier when it comes to trying to get someone off on a holiday. Now I have to find a different day to get you off, and someone else will have to cover that holiday for you now. And now they're supposed to be taken off and they can't. So even though I'm taking a vacation here, I'm still having to cover a holiday there. And it's just, it's a mess.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So in regards to the floating, I see this would, if approved tonight, would take a place January 1st. Would all normal floating holidays be exhausted by December 31st anyway? So no one's losing time that they've banked or anything like that?
Correct. That's why we're waiting until January, because there's really no way to balance everything and get everything in order before then, so.
Thanks.
I'll tell you what too, man, if I took the police academy, several of us have, man, that 911 is not an easy gig, man. It's not an easy gig. It's just not. I was stunned. They're not sitting there eating pizza, watching TV, man. I was like, I wouldn't want to do it. You know, it takes a different kind of person to do it, special kind of person, I should say. All right. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to repeal and approve the updated employee handbook, section 6.1, holidays to be effective January 1st, 2025.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. And real quick, I would like to relay, our staff accountant who currently processes payroll, said that if this gets approved, it would totally make her month. So thank you.
All right. 13-1 Joint Water Service Agreement with City of Wichita, Rural Water District 5, and Southern Hills Edition. And Jolene is going to speak with us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The agreement before you tonight is a joint water service agreement between the City of Wichita, Rural Water District Number 5, and RPR Group Investments LLC, who is the developer for the Southern Hills Edition, and the City of Andover. And what this agreement does is it allows the City of Wichita, through its contract with the City of Andover, to provide water service to the Southern Hills Edition as it exists within the Rural Water District Number 5's territory. The water rates for this edition will be the same as all other users, with the exception of a flat rate of $5.10 per month, which will be remitted to Rural Water District Number 5. These fees will be collected by the city's utility billing process and remitted to them. This agreement also provides for Rural Water District Number 5 to review the fees and consider rate adjustments every 5 years based on actual water usage reports provided by the City of Andover. As Les alluded to in a previous item, this agreement paves a path and sets the terms by which water service can be provided between jurisdictions in this way in two additions and parts of the cities where it makes most sense. I want to say thank you to Les, who worked to coordinate all the parties of this agreement, and to our city attorney, who went through several iterations. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to stand for it.
Mr. Mayor, I have just one question. Jolene, I didn't read all the legalese on here. Is there, when we say after 5 years, they can go back through and adjust the rate, is there a max that they can do it? Like 5%, they can only increase that rate by 5% or 10%? I just don't want in 5 years, they come back and say, you know, we're going to tack on a $50 a month certain service fee.
No, the only stipulations in the agreement is that it's based on water usage. So there would have to be some sort of, and I will defer to our city attorney on this in terms of what the implications from a legal perspective.
Over the weekend, and that was my fear is, you know, like when we do the trash service, they have a, you know, every year they can go up by 2 or whatever it is. I didn't see anything in here limiting them how much they could go up.
So the answer is no.
Okay.
We are paying ransom to the water district to serve in their territory. You can look that up. That's the definition of the term ransom. The fee, in fairness to them, is designed based upon what they perceive as their loss of revenue based on the predicted use of water in that area. And they just want to reserve the right at 5 years to look at it and see if their prediction was right or their prediction was wrong. The parties would still need to agree. So there'd be this sort of ugly moment where if they can't agree to a fee, then I guess they can provide the water in their territory. So it's sort of a gun to everybody's head at the 5-year mark as a solution. And I realize that's not perfect, but I can also tell you that to get 4 parties to agree to this was really quite a challenge.
That's my only fear. I just didn't want in 5 years, they say, we're not making enough money. We're tacking on an extra $50 per household to provide them water. So that would be my only fear.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And Mr. Mayor, forgive the layperson up here, but why wouldn't you just do rural water district then in that addition less?
It's a capacity issue with Rural Water 5 system. They just don't have the water lines. They don't have tower storage in the area that would support this subdivision that's something like 360 houses. They researched it, and it was going to be in the neighborhood of $4 million investment for them to gear up in order to serve this subdivision.
There's been a lot of interesting legislation with rural water districts across Kansas. We've actually been relatively fortunate in Andover to have not been a courtroom over this topic, but the state has been pretty clear that they protect the rights of your rural water districts and that they acknowledge the loss of customer potential regardless of if they are able to serve if those customers were there. And there's not much that can be done due to the law.
Homer, haven't you been in meetings? We're in water trouble.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Real water trouble. And at some point, we're gonna have a grown-up conversation about getting the water from El Dorado Lake so that we aren't held hostage. It ain't something we can do tomorrow, but if we don't do it at some point, we're running out of water. Last time I looked, there's only one person making water, and he ain't here with us. So at some point, we're gonna have a serious conversation about how to get more water. Because at the rate we're growing, Wichita can't even provide water now. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have an adult conversation at some point, and it's gonna be rough and it's gonna be ugly. But El Dorado, that's how they promote business. We got all the water you want. You know what I mean? And we keep money in the family. So at some point, if we don't get a whole lot of rain, we're gonna have to make a big kid decision, and it's gonna take a lot of money.
because the alternative to this is, if we said no to it, would be rural water saying, we can't serve you. Good luck on not doing any water at your development, correct?
Right, there's kind of a decision point there that the developer would have to make. First, he would have no water, so he would have no subdivision. It takes a minimum of 5 acres to qualify for a private well, or make the decision to pay the rural water district to upgrade their facilities, that $4+ million to support a subdivision.
Yeah, because they're happy what they're doing now. I mean, they're not wanting to grow or increase talking to some of those guys in the past, they seem to be, I say fat and content, that's the term I'd use, but.
Would this be agreement that like we're seeing here, that will also be done on that annexation we did tonight as well?
Yes, we've actually got 4 of these in the mill right now, waiting for deals to close.
We tried to get our partners to the west to do something small as help get a pipe to water not only Teradyne Golf Course with gray water, but also Crestview Country Club, and they declined. Why? because they make money off the water when they get cut off the aquifers. So back to the word that our fine city's attorney used, we're being held hostage, man, on water.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the joint water service agreement with the City of Wichita Rural Water District Number 5 and RPR Group Investments LLC for water services for Southern Hills Edition.
Second, Hamilton.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. I'm sorry. 14-1, executive session, attorney-client privilege.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to recess into executive session for consultation with the city attorney pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2, which would be deemed a privilege in the attorney-client relationship. The session is to include the governing body, city administrator, city attorney, assistant city administrator, director of community development, and the director of public works and utilities. The open meeting will resume at 8:21.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to recess into executive session for consultation with the city attorney pursuant to KSA 754319B2, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. The session is to include the governing body, city administrator, city attorney, assistant city administrator, director of community development, and the director of public works and utilities. The open meeting will resume at 8:34.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Sir.
I move to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Member items, and we'll start with Paul. Happy birthday, Paul.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
birthday to you.
It's, I'll keep it short and sweet. It's pretty late tonight. I attended the League of Kansas Municipalities annual conference. I know a lot of us were there, but I just wanted to thank everybody for that opportunity. There was a lot that I got out of it, a lot of really good breakout sessions, and I'll provide some feedback for you guys either at our next workshop or just, through Jenny. But I just want to thank everybody for everything tonight and the good conversation I think we had. And it's always a great reminder of just what a great city we have and city staff we have, that we can all sit up here and we can make some of these difficult decisions, but yet at the same time, we can laugh and we can enjoy the time together.
2 weekends ago, we married off our oldest daughter, which was great. Had a good time and lots of people there. Thank you. They're on their honeymoon now. And 1 down, 2 to go.
Yesterday was First Responders Day. So to first responders out there, thank you very much for your service. We appreciate you all more than you know. Thank you.
I got nothing.
A lot of state championships are coming to Andover, so that's pretty cool. We just recently had the Andover Central Andover game. Andover High, Alabama, that one and lost considerably. So good job to all you Central guys. And thank you to Shelter Insurance for providing the popcorn to everybody that night. That was pretty cool that the kids could run down and just get popcorn. So that was awesome. Can't wait to hear about the state champions that we have coming up. So appreciate it. Thank you.
We got the Safe Halloween coming up on Thursday, 4 to 6 in the park. And that's all I got.
So unfortunately, I'm going to go a little dark or sad. This evening, we went to a friend of ours, actually my oldest Baxter, his classmate committed suicide last week. So we went to his celebration of life ceremony this evening before this. So anybody that's out there that has any sort of thoughts, no one would have thought that Aiden would have done this. Good kid, hard worker. It's just really, really sad. So if you see anybody or, just check on people. It's weird when you have a classmate that your oldest grew up with. I mean, they were on the same baseball team, same basketball teams. They went to kindergarten together. It's sad. So just take care of each other out there. So that's all I got.
Any staff got anything? What's the number the people can call? I don't know it off the top of my head. Do you? Who's got the mayor message next month?
811 is 266.
Huh?
411.
Alyssa, who's got the, I'll get to whoever's got the mayor message next month, their message, let's put that information, because we've had that in town recently, so thank you for bringing it up. Right.
988.
And again, that's another reason to appreciate our first responders, because that's a phone call you don't want to get, so, but thank you, Tim. All right, can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.